Radical, baby.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 58 of the Single Malt Strategy Podcast. I am your host, Jean, the Strategy Wargamer, and today I have my trusty co-hosts, Matt, the Historical Gamer, and Eric, Tortuga Power. Welcome, guys. What's going on?
I am doing well.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you for the memories.
You asked a question. I answered it. That's all I got for you. It's going okay. It's going okay.
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited about this really short episode we're going to do, and we're going to keep it to only 45 minutes or shorter. I'm really excited about that. I'm sure we won't go over.
That's the intention. What reality will be.
No, that's not the intention. There's a guillotine hanging over each of our heads, and if we're not out of the podcast booths in 45 minutes from now, we're all just dead.
Wait, you guys have a booth?
It's like a Mission Impossible kind of thing. This message was self-destruct.
You have a booth? No, I'm jealous.
Hey, it's Tortuga Power, you know? He comes or he doesn't come at all.
I don't know if that sounds right.
Yeah.
Anyway, this episode got off to a real awkward start.
We have editing, right? Right?
Probably
Supposedly.
not. John likes to include the most embarrassing stuff possible, so I'm sure it'll all be in there.
Can you imagine somebody driving with their family and hearing that? the husband looking at the wife and like... What does that mean, Daddy?
Don't worry about it, kid.
The mother looking at them is like, what do you listen to?
That's true. I mean, that is probably a strict definition.
So what have you guys been playing? I mean, it's been a couple weeks.
I am playing Command & Conquer Red Alert at the moment.
Ooh, that's the remastered one, I think, right?
Yep. The new remaster.
So everybody's, I know, is getting it. So is it worth the hype?
I don't know. I haven't seen a ton of hype around it, but it's fun. I think that they do a good job of making the original playable. It's still janky in some ways. It still has some of the, the original games, headache and maybe lack of quality of life in some cases. Like, it is an old game. The RTSs in the early 90s didn't have, or late 90s or whenever this thing came out, didn't have all the same things that I'm sure RTSs do today. But I don't play a ton of RTSs anyway, so I don't know.
That was actually one of my questions. Can you select more than like 5 units or whatever?
Yes, you can right-click and drag.
Okay.
So you can do that in this. I think the original Command & Conquer you can't, so I don't know if that's in... So the remaster includes Red Alert and Command... So Command & Conquer 1 and Command & Conquer, I guess, 2 Red Alert. And so at least in Red Alert, you can multi-select. I don't know if you can in the Command & Conquer version of the game, because there's two different executables, I think. When you launch the game, you have to choose which one you want to play.
Oh.
I don't remember Red Alert. I did play it when I was younger, but
oh man, it is the best.
Yeah, well, I played the original Command & Conquer, the non-Red Alert version, and I loved that. I also find that that's... I don't know, I mean, Red Alert was, I think, intentionally a little more comedic, a little bit...
It's very campy, yeah. I guess, is probably the right way to put it. But I think it's the best, the better of the two. One, probably because it feels like a real game where you can multi-select, which, again, I saw like a Honest Trailers thing where they were making fun of how in the original Command & Conquer you couldn't, and then they talked about Red Alert, and they're like, the way better sequel or whatever. But I don't know... I played the original Command & Conquer for like 20 minutes on N60 on my sister's N64 at one point in my life, but that's like the extent of my involvement with it. So,
how different is it compared to the original? I mean, in terms of the graphics.
The graphics are better because they've upgraded them. It's still blocky and weird, but like it definitely looks better than they have. I don't know how true this is or not, but they have this thing in it where they're like, when you first start the game and you first run it for the first time, they show you, they claim to show you anyway, this is what the original graphics look like, and you're like, what the hell? This looks like a bunch of pixelated crap. And then it's like, press spacebar to do the remaster, and you do it, and then it looks like a million times better. So I mean, that's probably a marketing gimmick to be like, yeah, see, we did stuff, but like, if it's real, then
it's $20.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it wasn't exactly inexpensive. I'm sure to go back to an old game and just like make it work on a modern system, I would guess. I don't know.
I think Jean's comment was that that's not expensive, right?
I don't know, for $20 for a game that, I mean, looking at it now, I mean, look, just bear in mind, I wasn't a Command and Conquer fan back in the day, so I'm not as passionate about this game, I guess.
$20 is about what I would expect. I don't think it's too little or too much, too much. So
why are these tanks driving the direction they're going? I don't want you to go that way. Sorry.
Well, you're playing the game. That's it. Obviously, that's a problem that you gotta expect existed. But the only thing you have to be thankful for is that there's not directional armor.
Directional.
The worst is playing Company of Heroes. Oh God, just don't get me started.
You don't like Company of Heroes? Now that's a game I could put money behind.
Yeah, but I mean, you drive your tanks around and they always face the wrong way and get themselves killed. It's just a frustration fest.
Yeah, there's definitely no directional armor in this game. It's like, oh, you have a certain amount of health, and each time a little dot hits you, your health goes down by a certain amount.
Oh, that sucks.
No, I'm fine with it. I'm just knocking out some pillboxes right now.
Going over Company of Heroes on Steam is $20 itself. But see, this is $20 I would actually spend. I don't know. I have some, juicy memories of, playing this back in the day.
Well, does Company Heroes have the best full motion video cutscenes in the history of the world?
No, I don't know. I don't remember it.
Because Command & Conquer Red Alert has seen, basically it's got this whole plot and story behind it where it's like Einstein gets kidnapped or killed. I'm not sure which. Not Einstein, sorry, Hitler. Einstein goes back in time to kill Hitler. And then, this is an alternate history where, World War II never happens, and now the Soviet Union is trying to take over Europe, and it's the Allies versus the Soviets, and they've got, this disastrously bad guy pretending he's Stalin in these videos, and they've got, a whole bunch of characters.
So, real Stalin. It's
yeah.
an accurate portrayal, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. The guy he's acting as Stalin.
Oh, he does actually look a little bit like Stalin. I see a screenshot of it. He does kind of look...
If you see the guy who's Einstein, he looks literally nothing like Einstein. But, but yeah, it is brilliant. It is the greatest... I know it's not the greatest game ever made, but it is very good.
That's some high praise. I was considering getting it at some point, but...
Keep in mind that this is also a nostalgic game. I played it a ton when I was young on my PlayStation, so I won't, there's definitely a nostalgia element here in terms of my praise.
Yeah.
There's nothing more frustrating though when you're trying to take out an ore harvester and it just decides, I'm going to run over all your troops, and then they just get squashed like bugs.
You got to hit X to scatter. Still remember that.
Holy crap, I just lost 30 guys! They just all blew up and turned into red mush.
What happened to the developers? Petroglyph and Lemon Sky Studios.
Oh, really? It wasn't Westwood? So the original Command & Conquer was Westwood, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Which I like to, name drop, that I actually got to meet, and Ed Del Castillo, who was on the Command & Conquer team, and then he went and formed Liquid Entertainment, which developed Battle Realms. And I got to tour the office. It was my first exposure to game dev studio.
Are they trying to lure you into their fold?
No, I think I was extremely interested, and I was in high school, and I'm sure that Ed was a real saint taking me along, because high schoolers are not we're socially awkward, and I was socially awkward, I should say, and I was giving him advice on the game, some high school. Oh God, if I could only go back.
I when I was 13 or whatever, I met Bud Selig and his daughter Wendy Selig when Wendy was still a owner of the Milwaukee Brewers, and I was telling her players to re-sign and give extensions and stuff like that. I'm sure I was insufferable.
Yeah, I guess the only consolation I take from your story is that hopefully I wasn't alone in my idiocy.
I'm sure you weren't.
We were all in high school once, right? Except for those people who haven't been in high school yet.
Presumably, not everybody.
Okay, there's also the group of people who will not ever attend high school, I guess, if we're covering all our bases.
Yeah, we're good. We got everything covered. Anyway, this is a weird episode. We're
what about
starting
me?
Randomly. That's what I've been
Yeah,
playing.
what am I playing? I'm playing Total War Warhammer 2 still. I think I was playing it the last time we had a free podcast like this. A free form podcast. And I'm still enjoying the game. I've also been playing still some Shadow Empire.
Yeah.
I've been dabbling with some... I just got myself a steering wheel.
For Shadow Empire? You might be disappointed.
Project Cars 2. What'd you say, Sean?
No, I said you got yourself a steering wheel. I said you're going to be disappointed with Shadow Empire then. I don't think they work together.
Yeah, that is an accurate statement. You do not use a steering wheel in the detailed, complex strategy game. But I've been playing some... mainly Project Cars too, but the thing is I want to get more use out of my VR headset. So I've just felt that there's two very, I think, fitting titles or genres for a VR headset, and that's driving games and flying games.
Well, you're definitely going to need it for B-17.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. It's a ways off, I think, but I'm ready.
Oh, you never know. You never know. I'm crossing my fingers for 2020.
Yeah, that won't happen.
Man can hope.
We're in July, and they haven't even given a release date or anything like that. I'm sure it's 2021 for almost certainly.
Did you guys pick up anything in the Steam summer sale?
I was looking at a couple titles, but they're definitely pale in comparison to the winter Christmas sale. So I was like 10% off. I'm like, get out of here.
I found some pretty good deals on a bunch of games. I actually bought quite a few, so I'm trying to look through here and see what I all bought.
I got one game.
Most of them are not strategy games. I bought
Lords of Magic. That's it. Go ahead.
I'm not familiar with Lords of Magic, but I bought Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is like 50% off. I got Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, which I think was like 20% off. I got Red Dead Redemption 2. Even though I already have that on PlayStation, I would rather have that as like a casual PC playing experience. King of Dragon Pass, which is an oldie, but I've never played it. And then I also got Age of Empires Definitive Editions 1 and 2. Command & Conquer, I don't know if that was on sale or not, but I got that. And then I got Spec Ops The Line, which I also have never played. So
oh, you did get Spec Ops The Line.
Now the question is, are you going to play any of these games?
Well, I've been playing Command & Conquer, so I've been doing that. I'm going to play Age of Empires because my coworker has that and wants to play some multiplayer, so I'm sure I'll play some of that. And I will definitely play Mountain Blade and Red Dead Redemption at some point in time. The other ones we'll see. Probably Jedi Fallen Order. I'm working on finishing the third of the newer Tomb Raider games, the most recent of the newer Tomb Raider games. Once I finish that, then I'll probably jump into Jedi, just because they're kind of a similar, I assume, a similar type of gaming experience.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order got some really good reviews in regards to, it's, from what I understand, like one of the most recent successful Star Wars games. I think last one before that was...
There was one where you were like a Jedi who got like cloned and you were like the apprentice of like Darth
Vader.
Unleashed.
Yeah, that was... Yeah.
The first of those two games was good, but the second one was a little bit meh.
That was like a decade ago.
Why was it? I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, the interesting thing is you'll notice that of those games that I listed out there, so the Age of Empires and Command & Conquer games, obviously those are strategy games, but the majority of the games that I listed really aren't strategy games.
I know, you're becoming a traitor. I'm Benedict Arnold.
No, I'm in a bit of a rut right now. Like, so I've been playing Command & Conquer, and that's a nostalgia trip, and the same thing for Age of Empires, but like, there's just not a lot of strategy games out that I feel super into playing. I'm playing a lot of War in the Pacific still. But other than that, like there's not a lot out there that I really feel like I want to dive into and play right now. It's kind of a weird situation. I just feel like I'm in a bit of a, like I said, a bit of a rut.
I don't know. For me, I've been finding a lot of strategy games that I've been wanting to sink my teeth in.
Well, what have you been playing?
So, starting out with the games that I have been playing, I'll tell you the games that I want to buy and that I'm going to play next. But so the first game that I've been sinking a lot of hours in, one of the games that my wife was a little ticked that I was playing for so long, was Panzer Corps 2, the new DLC, which I don't think is out yet, but by the time you guys listen to it, it will be out. The Spanish Civil War DLC. So I played the first scenario in that, and it was just incredible. Like, the map is just like everything about it was just amazing. I literally was going to play for like 30 minutes and then, relieve my wife. So I would take the little one and she would, get a couple hours sleep. And 30 minutes became an hour became an hour and a half, an hour and a half became 2 hours plus. And I could not put down the game. Like, I won the scenario, but it's a very, I keep forgetting how addicting Panzer Corps is. Like, it just, you always want to click that one more turn kind of thing. And
I played that a little bit as well. I've only played the first scenario in the DLC, and I would agree it's very well done. I think the most interesting thing to me about it is it adds a lot of... They're not new mechanics. They're mechanics that existed, but it requires you to use them in ways that you don't really use them in other scenarios. So essentially the premise is you're trying to transport Franco's African colonial army over from Morocco to Spain to help the nationalists in the Civil War that's just breaking out. And you have to send the first wave via ship, but then after a couple of turns, enemy warships show up that basically block your access from transferring ships across the straits near Gibraltar. And so then you have to switch and transport the remainder of your troops via aircraft, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how historical. I think they've got a much larger German ground presence in that scenario. But it's an interesting mechanic that you really don't have in other games. Also, the fighter aircraft are way weaker. They're all biplanes. And the tactical bombers are surprisingly effective for biplane bombers, but it's definitely a different feel to the game because it is earlier. The armor is much weaker because at least in the initial scenarios, because you're playing in 1936, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different look for Panzer Corps. I'm not sure how the scenarios evolve. Also, the briefing, I'm not sure if you caught it, but there's like this weird role play element or like story element in the briefings that is a little bit over the top, but it's different. So I think it's interesting and worth a look. I don't know how if it'll be something I'll really like that'll get me out of my rut, but I appreciated the scenario I played.
What is the role playing? So having not played this yet,
it's not really role playing. It's just a story. So like usually in the game they'll give you a briefing, sort of telling you what's going on, and then a little bit of like outro briefing where they're like telling you essentially what's next. And in this, they had this. It was like 20, and they show up in like cards. So like you click, and then it shows you like a card of text, and you click next, and it shows you a card of text. And in this, they had this whole like, it had to be like 10 or 15 cards long of like dialogue back and forth between like 2 or 3 of the different characters that were giving you information about what was happening in the Spanish Civil War, but also had like this weird interplay and like. They're trying to probably get you to like connect almost in a cartoony way with the figures who really have no impact on the game, but they're just telling you what's going on and trying to be like characters in like a comic almost. There's like this, super like short-tempered German officer guy who just like has I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't think that was I don't think that actually took place.
Yeah, right.
But overall, like, I really enjoyed the DLC, the things that you were talking about, like you get to play around with vintage early tank and plane models. The one cool thing about this is that this covers a conflict in history that is not really covered in many games. Like the Spanish Civil War, there's not many games that focus on it. So I really appreciate that, I can sink my teeth into a conflict that I was always curious about and know a little bit about. The other thing that I really like about this is whatever units that you begin with the Spanish Civil War, right, they transfer over to the main campaign. So, like, if you have, a Panzer unit and you're, utilizing them throughout this campaign, they will flip over to the invasion of Poland. So you'll see their stats and their history and all that stuff, which I thought that was kind of really cool. So you can kind of bulk up your units, get them some extra muscle before they go into Poland.
The actual base Poland campaign or the next DLC that's going to be like 1939?
So from what I'm understanding is your units that you do in this campaign will flip over to the main campaign, but when the new DLC comes out, they will also flip to that one.
Huh.
That's the way I'm assuming. I'm understanding it.
That's a lot. It's like a 12 to 16 battle campaign. That's a lot of time and experience to allow you to build your units up. I guess it'll also be interesting what units you can actually build up, because I don't think that first scenario is terribly representative of the rest of the DLC. Because they are saying in the DLC that like your German units, you'll have no land units, or at least no infantry units. It's only specialty units and air units, which is supposed to represent like the what role the Condor Legion actually played. So there is another interesting concept in this where in certain battles you essentially have to coordinate with the AI and use your air units to support the AI as it moves across the map and attacks so that they don't get defeated, but you don't actually command those ground units. So it's supposed to be this somewhat unique way of trying to play a Panzer general style game where you don't command the bulk of your troops and you're just a supporting element. I'm not sure how that plays out because I haven't gotten to any scenarios where that's really a thing yet. But I think they also give you the option of buying Italian troops, so you could use them if you really want, because there was a larger Italian commitment of ground troops in Spain, wow. I believe. But so that's sort of like the bone they throw to the traditional Panzer Corps players who just want to play like they normally play, is that you can get Italian ground units. But I'm curious to see how it'll all play out. I had an issue. I was using the press beta version or whatever, so it wasn't totally polished, and I had an issue where it crashed after the first scenario, and I couldn't get it to uncrash, and I just haven't really gone back to replay the first scenario again.
I mean, we're just bear in mind we're actually playing the pre-release versions.
Yeah, why didn't you mention that, TG?
I did. I literally said
I know, I'm just kidding. You said it right away.
I just, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, okay, and then I kind of tried to reload a save from like a turn before, and it kept doing it, and I reported the issue, but then I just didn't really feel like playing the same scenario over again, so I just haven't gone back to it.
So the one thing that I love everything that I've played so far. The one thing that I wish that he would put in the game would be so I can play the Republican Spain units. Like I'm gonna play. I know the German side and Italian side and the nationalist Spain, but I would love not right now. He doesn't have to do it right now, but in the future. Be able like uncheck a box where I could play the opposing force. The Republican, the good guys.
That is like the most representative quote of Jean that you've ever said. Your quote, I know it's taken out of context, but I've enjoyed everything I've ever played. It's perfect.
Everything is awesome is actually a song written about Jean's life.
Everything is awesome. Yeah, Lego movie.
I know you were talking about how you've enjoyed everything you played of this game, but you have a pretty positive take on most games. So.
Well, no. Not most games. I will tell you a game that I'm not at all, in any sense of the word, positive about. So, if you guys are not familiar, a new game came out for the iPad and iPhone, and it's called Stellaris Galaxy Command, and it was gonna blow my mind. We're talking about Stellaris.
Who made this game?
Coming to the mobile platform. And it was going to be eye-popping.
Wait. Is this the same one that they were, like, exposing for the Chinese development team?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Was making a different game, and then they forgot to even change the title somewhere, so it still had its original title. And
yeah.
So this is a Paradox published.
Is this the same developer as that, though? Or did they switch developers when that fiasco happened?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything from this since that whole fiasco. That whole thing. Do you remember exactly what happened with it though? That's my vague, fuzzy recollection, which I can just repeat.
All I can really remember is that it was some sort of like it was like they reskinned a game that had already come out in another country or something like that, basically, to be Stellaris.
Oh, okay, that's actually different. I had heard that it was just a development team that was acquired for making a different game, and they were acquired, and basically switching their game into being Stellaris.
Oh.
Like pre-release. So that would not be as bad. If it was actually a game that had been released, that's worse.
This is according to Android Central. Stellaris Galaxy Command pulled down for a time to remove stolen Halo 4 artwork. A new mobile game from Paradox Interactive has been pulled because fans noticed some similarities to other games' art.
Yeah,
that's right.
The developer apparently ripped artwork from another game. At least that's the accusation.
So the name of the developer is called Game Bear. And Paradox, like when you load up the game, you have Game Bear and then you have Paradox logos, and then, it loads the game. So, I...
But this was back in 2019, so I'm assuming they've removed all of that artwork prior to publishing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was removed immediately.
But to give my take on the game, I mean, I've played it a little bit. I played it for a little bit. I always try to look at the bright side for everything, like the pros and cons for every game. I feel like it's Clash of Clans just with the Stellaris flavor to it.
It's the Wrath of Khan.
So, like, it has, like, when you start up the game, it has the Stellaris soundtrack to kind of, like, and you're already getting, like, motivated. Ooh, I know that soundtrack. And you're getting into it, and you start seeing the galaxy and system views, and you're like, oh, man, this is it. And then that's where it kind of starts stopping, because you're like, wait, what is this? Like, this is a space station? Wait, I don't get to make my own empire? Like, people? Race? I can't do that? I'm not choosing values? What is going on here? Where's my planet? So you start off on like a space station that you, I guess, start building and leveling up certain things, and it feels so Clash of Clansy, or one of those kind of games. And so I started thinking, I'm like, all right, well, I guess I have to go to a planet to colonize it. Well, you can't do that. So planets, like, you can't colonize it at all. You can't attack a planet. They just sit there. You can bookmark a planet. I don't know what the heck bookmark does, but whatever. Anyway, so the thing that really, as you play the game, there is a system view like you have in Stellaris and a galaxy view. And in galaxy view, it looks like you have other nations on the map like you do have in the desktop version. But it quickly kind of like starts teetering apart. So apparently there are, because it's a multiplayer game, it's a MMORPG, everybody owns like a space station, and you can make alliances with each other, but like nobody can actually colonize or attack a planet. And you form these big clans kind of thing. And that's basically the only good stuff about the game. Everything else is a con. Like I said, you can't colonize planets or systems. You can't do anything with a planet. You can't micromanage a planet. You can't build research on a planet, nothing like that.
I don't think it's surprising. And Paradox is getting to be a bigger game, so bigger game company. So this is the direction we're going to see Paradox moving, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but I'm not surprised to see this from them.
I think on some things, I'm not sure they'll move that way on everything. But
yeah, the publishing side of things, they'll probably embrace these opportunities in that space, mobile space. I mean, it's I don't even think it's just about them, the public company type thing. It's just if they want, they can use, like, if they made Victoria 3 by making a mobile game that just was a cash grab to fund Vicky 3, would any of us be upset? No, I'm not going to play the mobile game. Go ahead, take some suckers' money. I want Vicky 3.
They'd need to do it. They'd need to not call it Vicky 3 if they were going to do that without pissing a lot of people off. But they're not stupid.
No, I meant if they just used this Stellaris game, the mobile game, and then they took the funds from that, and that was the seed investment into Vicky 3, and Vicky 3 was a PC game, not mobile, just a great PC game. Knowing that Vicky 3 probably won't sell as much as a lot of the other titles, but just as a way of continuing the fantastic work that their dev studio has done, yeah, I would be all for that. Go ahead and use a cash grab from the mobile game market, because I don't give about that anyways. And then finance Vicky 3. Fine by me.
But that does it for me. Do you guys have any other?
I think I'm good.
All right. So that does it for episode 58 of the Single Malt Strategy podcast, and we will catch you guys in the next one.